Hello, I'm back. My name is Verde Arbusto, and this is the Schumann Resonance channel on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate all the comments, the love, the support that I've gotten from people. Thank you all very much. Um, I just got done making an introductory video, about 15 minutes explaining this, but in a nutshell, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series of short videos that talk about the topic at hand. What we're looking to do right here is to go through the Schumann resonance spectrogram and to provide you with some explanation, some I call it decryptifying. Uh, I think that's a great word to decrypt the Schumann resonance uh, the Schumann resonance spectrogram. Okay, so uh, the the spectrogram is one of those great mysteries of this community, the ascension community, where we talk about the Schumann resonances. This is one of those great mysteries of this, and my job here by contract is to explain to people the basics of the Schumann resonance and give the scientific and technical expertise of what you're looking at. Now, I'm not deter- in I'm not interpreting this for you relative to your metaphysical beliefs. I'm not telling you what you're looking at relative to your ascension belief is. I think that's important to know. I don't step into the arena of a belief. We all have beliefs. I have my own belief. It's not that I don't have a belief. Everyone has a belief, but its beliefs are based in invisible things that you can't really prove. It's really that simple. And if you are able to prove it, it's not a belief. It's not a belief system. It just is the nature of it. And a lot of people get upset when they say, "Oh, you can't." My belief is verifiable, and I believe in science. It's all the same. It's all the same to me. It's all the same. It's still based in an invisible thing. Number one. Number two, your best logic and reasoning is still only a sense. Right? We have lots of scientific truths that we look at as being concrete, and it is, it's solid and it's stable and you can't rock that, and my beliefs are based on fact. That may be true. However, logic is a sense, and so all belief, especially logical ones, are based on a sense. They're based on a perception. And perhaps the perception is that you and you alone are correct. I don't know. It's a thought, it's a question, but that's part of what happens with the belief system is we convince ourselves that it's right, it's absolutely correct, and yet it's based on imaginary things. Okay? God does exist, there is a God, but that doesn't mean he's sitting on a throne, that he is a he, that he is this or he is that or that he even is a he. Okay. So we get real wrapped up in these invisible things that we can't really prove because they're in our head and we need them to be correct. All right. So I need my belief to be correct, but I'm not pushing it out on anyone else because I don't want to have my belief thrashed about. And so therefore, I am not doing that to other people and their belief. I work with what I know and what I can prove. That doesn't mean it's great or it's wonderful. I'm just, let me put it this way. What makes a following in the facts to be wonderful is it cuts out a lot of the arguing and the bickering, quite honestly. What can I prove? What can I show? There you go. We don't need to argue about it. If you don't believe what you're seeing, if you don't, if you don't agree with what you're seeing, then that's on you. Okay, but let me just show you where I'm getting my data from so you yourself can make the same informed decision that I do. A lot of this is either you accept it or you don't. And even in the scientific community where, you have the greatest truths, these unimpeachable, so-called unimpeachable truths, it's based on peer review. Right? The truth is basically a popularity contest, in other words. Again, scientific literature goes before peer review, right? It's all the same. You either believe it or you don't. With the scientific method, they look at your means of getting the data, your methodology, how you came across the data. That's what they pick on. That's what they look at. So if your methodology and all of that was messed up, then your results are going to be messed up. And so part of this in the discussion of the Schumann resonances is, what is your belief system? Do you believe the Schumann resonances are rising? That they are going to rise? Right? It's a belief system, because I will show you point blank, they're not rising. The best scientific data we got says that the Schumann resonances are not rising. They're not going to be rising at any point, as long as there are the constants that constrain the motion of the waves. The 7.8 is going to stay at 7.8, give or take 0.3 or up to 0.5, plus or minus half of a hertz. That is the maximum the Schumann resonance is going to be rising, 0.3, maybe 0.5. In fact, it dips to 0.5 and it might rise to 0.3. So the Schumann resonances lower and they drop as much as they raise. Okay? Yet, people want to believe what they want to believe, and that's fine. So we don't have to argue about it. Your belief is sacred. Your belief is your belief. My belief is my belief. We're not going to get into that. What we're getting into is what I can show you. What's verifiable, what the data says, what the facts say, what the information says. This is what I stick with. Not some 5D ascension, we're all going to heaven and we don't have to do any work and we can just frolic in the sun and we can be total turds and somehow the universe will magically reward us just because, well, because I believe that that's how it happens. All right, so we all have a belief. I'm not stepping in anyone's belief. That's not what this is. So, on that happy and cheery note, let me get on with the material at almost 8 minutes into this. All right. So, what we're looking at here is we're examining the four parts of the Schumann resonances. All right. So this is going to be this part of the video is going to be just focusing in on the spectrogram here. Okay. So, let me read to you what it says. This is the 28th of December, how to decipher, decrypt the color codes of the Schumann resonances. All right. This is a discussion how to read or interpret the color elements. All right, so we're just working on the color elements, not really more than that or anything greater than, I'm showing you how to read the colors. All right, basically. Okay, and I already explained this is going to be part of a part instructional video. It's going to be on Facebook. I already did the first part, first introduction, like I said. All right, so this video is just an introduction of the basic elements of the chart from the Tomsk S.O.S. The most common report of the Schumann resonances comes from the S.O.S, which is the Space Observing System at Tomsk State University, which is based in Siberia, Russia. Tomsk State University is a publicly funded institution which provides the constantly running report free of cost through the internet or app to the general public. Actually, I'll read it over here. There are multiple sites around the world which measure Schumann resonances. Not all of these, in fact, most of them, do not make these reports readily available to the general public, certainly not for free, certainly not just for you punching in an internet HTTP address into your browser. You actually have to look and look for this information and find it. You have to search, you got to do your research. Um, However, in published studies, one may find the reports of these sites measurements. All right. So if you have been with me for a while, you will know that in my catalog, my archives, um, and I think in one series of videos, the browser dump specifically, I had mentioned a number of, there's like 4 or 5 um, published reports from antenna makers. One was Greece, another was a student in Japan, or a student group in Japan. Um, One was Mexico, I think. Um, and I forget the other places of where the antenna makers were. But if you go into my archives, there's a few videos from other antenna makers besides Russia and besides Italy. All right. So I'm going to say a note on this because people, I could probably do just a video on just this itself, but people regularly ask me, where are all of the Schumann resonance reporting uh, data, right? Why is there only data from Tomsk? Right? How come there's no other places that are, reporting out to the public what the Schumann resonances are and the reports and all of this? So that's a question I got. I can address this on a whole video unto itself, but since I'm here talking about this, the first part of understanding the spectra from Tomsk is understanding, the nature of this. First and foremost, Tomsk is a state-run university. Why does Tomsk have this and no one else does? All right. So first off, all right. So Tomsk is a state-run university that actually has. It's like a technical institution, right? It broke off in, I think it was 1966. I think, from the parent uh, institution of the Tomsk Polytech University, which is right next door to it. If you look at it on the map, and I've shown this before, if you look at it at the map, it's right next door. They're right next door to each other. All right. Or right in the same block. We'll put it that way. So they have been, Tomsk actually has a, hold on, let me find this. Okay. This is it's a Wikipedia page, of course. But you can see that what we're looking at is the Tomsk State University of Control Systems and Radio Electronics, which I'm pretty sure they have within Tomsk, there is a number of, let's see if I can find, there's a number of, not that, all right, of course I got rid of it. There's a number of, okay, so on the screen you see at Tomsk, there's a number of different schools and departments that you can look into. Okay. All right, so I'm just kind of go through some of the things they got at Tomsk. So they have a lot of, showing it all? Yeah, all right. So there's a number of different schools and faculties and departments at Tomsk University. All right. So one of the things that they do here is they measure the Schumann resonances, and that is part of the control systems and radio electronics. I'm pretty sure. I haven't been able to exactly nail it down to who is exactly in charge of the spectrogram, but this seems to be one of the main focuses, the main kind of areas that I'm pretty sure, I am like 90% sure that this is the place that's in charge of doing the spectrogram. Okay. So Tomsk University is one of those places that measures this. They take a lot of pride in providing the world with engineering students. I can do a video on just the Tomsk and all of that. But it's important to know when we talk about this that these guys do the research and they make it public because it is a public institution. Okay. And the reason that they're posting this online is because it's part of their curriculum to do this. Does that make sense? It's part of the curriculum. Where am I? All right. It's part of the curriculum of Tomsk that they actually broadcast this online. It's part of the educational environment. It's part of the academic work of not only them recording this, but posting it online. Okay? You got to understand that. Why is Tomsk so different? Because they make it a point, because of their pride and the integrity they have in their work, to post it online. That's why. That is why you don't see other antenna manufacturers, other antenna operators posting online and maintaining it like Tomsk does. Okay. They are measuring the Schumann resonances. You have to remember that. Tomsk is measuring the Schumann resonances for the fact of them being Schumann resonances. And it's a point of pride and it's a point of honor of them to give you the best data possible. Okay? After reading through what they've done, what they've accomplished, you can see it is a wide, it's their professional mission to bring this good data and good engineering to the people. Okay, I'll just put it that way. So that's why Tomsk provides this free to the people, whereas other places don't. Okay, why is Tomsk different? Because they make it a mission to be different. Right? I think it's important to understand that they're different because they make it a point to be different. All right. Now, there's another site that we have in Italy. Okay, so this one here, all right, this is the Italian site. Oop. This is Cumiania. I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but this is another. I'm getting this is sourced from disclosurenews.it. Okay, so this one here is the one for the 26th. The spectra on the top is from the 26th. They haven't updated it in the last 24 hours, obviously. Okay, so I have compared. I did a video where I compared both the Tomsk, both of these spectros, Tomsk and, let me move this over. So Tomsk, and I've compared the two of these, the one from Russia and the one from Italy. All right, I've explained the difference of what makes them similar and what makes them different. All right, so I'm not going to go into that now. But the two, just what I'm talking about right now here is the introduction of the text. Before I even get into the subject matter, excuse me, I wanted to, excuse me, hold on. Okay, so before I even got into the subject matter, talking about the description at hand, I wanted to bring up Tomsk, or I should say, before I get into the actual content of the video itself, I wanted to talk a little bit about Tomsk. All right, and this is, again, this is going to, this is a Wikipedia page. I guess I should put the link in the description. So it's basically what it says here: founded in 1962. Tomsk TUSUR University was formed when two facilities, the facility of radio engineering and the facility of electric radio control, split from Tomsk Polytech University to create a new educational institution. All right, so the date was incorrect. So 1962, these guys set out to be on their own, to stand on their own, apart from the Tomsk Polytech University. All right. So it is, they, like 1962, they've been doing this. They're shortly after Professor Schumann in 1952, this relatively speaking, 54 actually, where he finally got his first good measurement. What, 8 years later, these guys, formalized their institution. All right. So it's, with good understanding that you can see that that they've been doing this for a while. And Tomsk University provides the information free to the public and maintains the website that's important for putting that out there. All right, that's another important thing to consider. Why don't more people do it? Have you ever hosted anything online? Right? Why? Right? Come to me, ask me these questions. Right? I will give you the best answer possible. Right? And the first thing is, you're asking why more of these people don't do it. First off, a website costs money, right? Costs money. The hosting costs money. The upkeep on the website itself costs money, right? Tomsk, being a technical university, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they have people there on site, students or alumni, that also monitor and maintain the website. Okay, if you go into what Tomsk does, they're radio electronics and all of this, very technical. They're very technical minded. So you have to look at it that way. That they're It's not just that Tomsk is doing this as a service for you because you're the public at large and you somehow feel you have a need to know. That's not why they're doing this. They are doing this because they have pride in what they do and they're a technical institution, and part of the resources that it takes to do this is absorbed into the cost of the school itself. Why don't more why don't more antenna makers do this? Because they are not a technical school designed for doing this, and they also don't have a department of the school that maintains the website. Okay. The one in Italy that I showed you, Comiania, okay, this is different. This is not Schumann resonances for the sake of Schumann resonances. This is earthquake detection. Okay, it's important to understand that. What makes the difference between the Tomsk S.O.S and their reporting of the Schumann resonances and the Italian network is that the Italian network is there for earthquake prediction. Italy is a very seismically, that whole area over there is very seismically unstable. They frequently get earthquakes. They frequently get landslides from stuff happening regularly. In the literature, they talk about having a detection system to help prevent death. So, why does Italy make theirs public? Well, they don't really. Let's make sure we understand that. They don't really make it public. I'm getting this through the Disclosure News website. I couldn't tell you where on earth you would go to access the information from the Central Italy network. Now, I don't read and write Italian. If I did, I know that would help. But nowadays everything gets translated into English. So, all right. So there's a 90% chance that if it's out there, I could find it, and I don't find it. Their website, the website of these guys here. Okay, theirs is a bare bones website. There's links to their research, but it's not the ongoing real time data of Tomsk. So in the case of these guys here, they provide the information free to institutions of public service, like maybe hospitals, maybe educational institutions. They'll provide the access to, like, the Disclosure News website. They've been around for a while. They've been doing that, but Disclosure News uses mostly the Tomsk data and not necessarily the Italian data that we have here. It's a different way of looking at it. It's very confusing. It's if you are used to looking at one and then you suddenly go over to the other without knowing the ins and outs of how to read it, you're mystified. It really is mystifying. There's no green on here. There's no orange. There's no, this is like a black and blue. Basically, it's a, blue and white version, not black and white. It's a blue and white version of the Schumann resonances. This one's much different than the one over here. All right. So, again, I've talked about the differences and how to read them. I will do more about that later. But just for the point being, this point, in fact, this whole video almost answers that one question, right? I'm going to stop this one shortly. This video almost answers that one question entirely. Why is not more information on the Schumann resonances found? Question mark. It's because, number one, you don't really have the need to know. I'm not going to say you don't have a right to know. It's free. It's information. But if the information, if the resources being used, if all of the the antennas are done for, like, the Central Italy network, it's theirs. You don't have, I mean this in the nicest way possible, but you have no claim to their data. If they spent all the money, they spent the time, they spent the research and all of their effort to get it, and you didn't put anything into it, what right do you have to their data that they paid for? Again, the difference between Tomsk and the rest of the world is Tomsk is doing that for their classes, and the website is made as part of doing this for the students. There are not many student run, if you will, in these educational institutions, students do a lot of the work. So there's not many, institutions that provide data out to the public to see out of the goodness of their hearts, right? And so I think the question can almost be answered why there aren't more institutions that post out just vastly out there for the internet is because it is not necessary for what they're doing. A lot of these sites publish information to peer-reviewed literature, which is available to you if you look for it. Okay. A lot of these institutions that do the research on the Schumann resonances are either doing it for earthquake prediction. Remember that. Not many of the Schumann resonances stations, or it's actually a VLF station. There's not many VLF or ELF stations that are doing this just so you know about the Schumann resonances. They're making it either for earthquake prediction, okay, or for uh, the rhetoric about global warming. Okay, so if you're not studying up on those two things, either earthquakes or the global warming, blah blah blah, you're not. You don't really have a need to use it. What do you want to know it for? You have a good working example. And then it sounds like I'm being a turd when I say this, but there's a point where you provide information free to the public and they run with it and they say whatever. So part of, in my opinion, the reason why it's a good thing that more of this is not provided to the people at large is because if you don't know what you're looking at, you're going to just talk out of hot air and you're just going to say whatever, right? A lot of people look at the Tomsk, they look at this, and they will say the frequency's rising, right? It's a thing. The most basic thing here of what's not happening, people say, oh, it's happening. So, quite honestly, if you don't know what you're looking at and you don't know how to read this, maybe you should not have that information provided to you for free. That's my personal view on this. If you go into the literature, you'll find it. You'll find it. You go into my videos and you will see where I have given you spectros and readouts from the antenna makers, right? But if you don't know what you're looking at, if you don't know how to read it, if you don't know a lot of the basics here, that which I give you on my channel, if you don't know what you're looking at, you're going to misread the chart. That doesn't do you any good. That doesn't do them any good. The providers of the information, uh, it does a disservice. So it's my humble opinion that more of it should not be made public until you know how to read it. And then when you do know how to read it, you'll find the information there. There. So that kind of is the answer to why aren't more of these available to the public? Because you don't know what you're reading. You don't know what you're looking at. And if you did know what you're looking at, you would find the information there. Okay, it's that simple. All right, so I have gone through that. I think I'm repeating myself now. So, all right, so this is like part 2 of this little series here, where I talk just about Tomsk and getting that the information there. All right, so thank you all for being here. I appreciate very much the love and support. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video, which should be coming up shortly. Thank you. Namaste.